Hi students, welcome to my channel. Today in this session we are going to discuss Ellingham diagram. So this topic is from metallurgy of class 12. So here the Ellingham diagram represents the variation of Gibbs free energy with respect to temperature. So how the Gibbs free energy change takes place with respect to temperature can be explained by using this Ellingham diagram. So now let us consider the change in Gibbs free energy. The expression for change in Gibbs free energy is delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. So this is one of the thermodynamic expression. So here delta G means change in Gibbs free energy and delta H means change in enthalpy and delta S means change in entropy. So if the reaction is taken in standard states, we have to consider delta G naught, delta H naught and delta S naught. So here if the Gibbs free energy change is 0, then the equation is said to be equilibrium condition. The reaction is said to be in equilibrium condition. If delta G is negative, then the reaction is said to be spontaneous reaction. So if delta G is negative, the reaction is said to be spontaneous reaction. If delta G value is positive, then the reaction is said to be non-spontaneous reaction. If delta G is equal to 0, then it is said to be under equilibrium condition. Under equilibrium condition. So depending upon the delta G naught value, we can check whether the given reaction is spontaneous or not. Spontaneous means which is feasible. That means the reaction is supposed to occur. So here we have to consider the change in Gibbs free energy. So if the Gibbs free energy is negative, then the reaction is said to be spontaneous reaction. So generally in metallurgy we go through with so many reduction process. So we are supposed to extract a metal from its metal oxide. Suppose if you consider any metal oxide. So metal oxide is there. From this metal oxide we are supposed to extract a metal by reducing with carbon. So here carbon acts as reducing agent. So here we have to select a suitable reducing agent to reduce the metal oxide. So let us check whether the reaction is spontaneous or not. So this reaction is spontaneous or not. We have to check whether the given reaction is spontaneous or not. So this reaction is spontaneous whenever the Gibbs free energy change is negative. Okay. Suppose if the metal oxide is there, so the metal oxide generally present in solid state. This carbon, that is coke, is also present in solid state. This metal is present in solid state, whereas the carbon monoxide is present in gaseous state. So here the reactants all are present in solid state, the products are present in gaseous state. So that means solid state convert into gaseous molecules during the conversion of the metal oxide into metal. So here generally the disorderness or the randomness is more in case of gaseous molecules than in case of solid molecules. So here during this process the disorderness of the molecules increases. So here the disorderness or randomness of the molecules increases. So that is the randomness. The randomness of the molecules increases. If randomness increases, the disorderness of the molecules also increases. If the disorderness of the molecules increases means the entropy increases. Entropy increases. If entropy increases, the change in entropy delta S is always positive. Clear? If entropy increases, the change in entropy is always positive. So that is delta S will be positive. What is meant by positive delta S value? Here consider. So here the delta S will be positive. So if the delta S is positive, minus T delta S will become a negative quantity. At a particular temperature, the minus T delta S value will become a negative quantity. So here we are subtracting delta H value from negative quantity. That means delta G will become negative. Okay, clear? Suppose if you increase the temperature, so as the temperature increases, the minus T delta S value goes on increases. So due to increase in minus T delta S value, the resultant value will become negative. That means delta G value will become negative. Okay, students? Here as the temperature increases, the minus T delta S value goes on become more and more negative. So here this will become more and more negative. That means the delta G value also will become more and more negative. So if delta G is more negative, then the reaction is spontaneous. Okay, so that's why this reaction is spontaneous. So that is, this is more feasible reaction. This is more feasible reaction. So if the delta G value is negative, then the reaction is said to be more feasible reaction. So that is, it is the spontaneous reaction. Now let us take an example. So here in this example, so the graph represents the variation of Gibbs free energy delta G with respect to temperature. So here along this curve, the delta G value will be equal to 0. That means this represents an equilibrium condition. So here, as the temperature increases, the Gibbs free energy increases in this way. So let us consider an equation A plus B gives rise to C plus D. So for this reaction, here below this temperature, suppose let it be T1. So below this temperature, this region represents negative delta G value. So above this temperature, this region represents positive delta G value. So let us consider the negative portion. So under this negative portion, what happens? Negative portion of the curve. So in this negative portion of the curve, here if you consider this equation, that is A plus B gives rise to C plus D. Here the delta G value is negative. If the delta G is negative, then the reaction is said to be spontaneous. So here this reaction is spontaneous. This reaction is spontaneous. Suppose if you consider the reverse reaction of this first reaction, so that is C plus D gives rise to A plus B. So this is backward reaction. So if the reaction is backward reaction, then the delta G value will become positive. So below this particular temperature, that is negative portion means below this particular temperature T1. Below this particular temperature, the forward reaction is spontaneous due to negative delta G value. So the backward reaction is delta G is positive, that means it is non-spontaneous. This reaction is non-spontaneous. Okay, clear? Suppose if you consider the portion of the curve above this particular temperature, that is above temperature T1, the reaction A plus B gives rise to C plus D. So this, for this reaction delta G will be positive. If delta G is positive here, that is non-spontaneous. This is non-spontaneous. So suppose if you take the reverse reaction, so that is backward reaction, that is C plus D gives rise to A plus B. So if the reaction is reversed, then delta G will become negative according to thermodynamic terms. So if it is negative, then the reaction is said to be spontaneous. So that means the forward reaction is spontaneous in this region. That means below this particular temperature, the forward reaction is spontaneous, and above this particular temperature, the reaction is non-spontaneous. Okay, clear? Now let us consider this example, another example. So here also there is a variation of Gibbs free energy with respect to temperature. So this curve represents the change in carbon to carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So here carbon converts to carbon dioxide, here carbon converts to carbon monoxide. So here carbon monoxide converts to carbon dioxide. So all these are generally oxidizing processes. So all these undergoes oxidation. So let us consider an oxidation process. Let it be 1, let it be 2, let it be 3. So for the first equation, so for the first expression, so carbon oxidizes to form carbon dioxide. So that means here carbon reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. So in this expression, 1 mole of carbon dioxide is formed. So here it is solid state, it is in gaseous state, it is also in gaseous state. So 1 mole of gaseous molecule converts into 1 mole of product molecules. That means there is no change in number of moles of gaseous molecules. So that means the randomness of the molecules does not changes. That means delta S will become 0. If delta S is 0, then delta G will become 0. So that's why here for this curve, that means for this reaction, the Gibbs free energy will be 0. And consider the second expression, carbon gives rise to carbon monoxide means carbon gives rise to carbon monoxide. That means here it undergoes oxidation. Half O2 gives rise to carbon monoxide. Here half moles of gaseous molecules will convert into 1 mole of gaseous molecule. That means the change in gaseous molecules is 1 minus half, that is half mole gas molecule is there. So here the number of moles decreases, that means the disorderliness of the molecules decreases. So during this process the number of moles decreases, 1 minus half, that is only half mole. So during this reaction the number of moles of gaseous molecules decreases, that's why the disorderliness of the molecules decreases. So if the disorderliness of the molecules decreases, then delta S will be positive. That means if delta S is positive, then delta G will be negative. So that's why this reaction is said to be feasible reaction. Suppose if you consider the third expression, so here carbon monoxide converted to carbon dioxide. So carbon monoxide upon oxidation produces carbon dioxide. So here half mole of oxygen and 1 mole of oxygen is there. So the reactants means 1.5 mole of oxygen is there, converts to produce 1 mole of carbon dioxide. So that's why here there is a change in entropy, that is delta S value will be negative. If delta S is negative, then delta G will be positive. So that's why this reaction is not feasible reaction. So for any feasible reaction the curve is like this. For any non-feasible reaction, that is non-spontaneous reaction, the curve will be like this. Okay, clear? For a spontaneous reaction the curve should be like this. Here there should be decrease in Gibbs free energy for spontaneous reaction. For any non-spontaneous reaction the curve should be like this for this non-spontaneous reaction. So okay, so this one is the spontaneous reaction and this one is non-spontaneous reaction and this one is the equilibrium reaction. Now let us consider this graph. So in this graph these curves represents the oxides, the formation of the oxides. So silver oxide, mercuric oxide and zinc oxide. So all these takes place at different temperatures. So suppose if you take the first expression, so the silver oxide decomposes to produce silver and oxygen, and mercuric oxide decomposes to produce mercury and oxygen. Here zinc oxide decomposes to produce zinc and oxygen gas. So don't bother for any balancing. So here we have to consider only 1 mole of oxygen. So for the combustion of, that is for the decomposition of 1 mole of oxygen. Next, these two reactions takes place at low temperature. That means these two reactions takes place at temperature T1 and T2. These two are the low temperature and this reaction takes place at high temperature. So generally in thermodynamics we are supposed to produce a high yield at lower cost. That means the commercially beneficial product should be produced. So we select a procedure which produces high yield with low cost. That means we have to select a suitable process which is beneficious. That means the economy should be low and the product should be high. So here in these two reactions, the reactions takes place at low temperature. Here it takes place at very high temperature. So to produce high temperature the cost of production will be more. So for this expression the cost of production will be more. So in order to reduce the cost of production we have to use a suitable reducing agent. So suppose if you take the reduction of zinc oxide with carbon to produce zinc and carbon monoxide. So this reaction takes place at low temperature. That means it is less expensive. So in this way during the extraction of metals from their metal oxide we have to select a suitable reducing agents. So now we can select the suitable reducing agent by using Ellingham diagram. So if you have a clear idea about the Ellingham diagram, we can select a best reducing agent to reduce the metal oxides into metals. Okay, clear? So now let us consider another example. Here the question is select a better reducing agent for the reduction of zinc oxide. So here in this diagram, so the zinc oxide, this curve represents the formation of zinc oxide, and here this represents conversion of carbon to carbon dioxide, conversion of carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, and carbon to carbon monoxide, so at different temperatures. So now we have to select a better reducing agent. So for the reduction of zinc oxide, carbon monoxide is also reducing agent, carbon is reducing agent, here carbon is also reducing agent. So suppose if you take the reduction of zinc oxide by using carbon, it produces zinc and carbon monoxide. And suppose if you take the reduction of zinc oxide by using carbon monoxide, it produces zinc and carbon dioxide. But which one is the suitable reducing agent? We have to select which one is the suitable reducing agent from this Ellingham diagram. So here is a small trick for you to predict which one is the suitable reducing agent. So from the metal oxides which is present at above portion of the Ellingham diagram can be reduced by the metal or non-metal which is present at the below portion. So okay, clear? So the metal oxide which is present above the portion of the Ellingham diagram, we can reduce by metal or non-metal which is present at the below portion. So by using this trick we can predict which one is suitable reducing agent. And the second point we have to consider, we should select the lowest temperature available. So here in this case, the metal oxide which is present above portion can be reduced by the metal or non-metal which is present at the below portion. So that's why the zinc oxide can be reduced by either carbon monoxide or carbon, because both are present at the lower portion of the zinc oxide at the above temperature T3. So but this is very high temperature. So above this temperature T3, the zinc oxide curve is above portion, whereas these three curves are at below portions. But this is very high temperature. That means it is not the commercially beneficial process. So it will become more expensive. So in order to reduce the economy, we have to select low temperature. The second point is we have to select the low temperature. So here at this low temperature, which one is present below? So this is present above portion and this is present below portion at the lowest temperature. So that's why this carbon will become more selective reducing agent. Okay, clear? So the zinc oxide can be reduced selectively by using this carbon. So it will be the most feasible reaction. Okay, this zinc oxide reduced by carbon at low temperature. So that's why this will be the most feasible reaction. Okay, consider another example. So here he gave the variation of Gibbs free energy with temperature. So for two reactions, one is the formation of aluminum oxide, other one is formation of magnesium oxide. So from the graph, predict which one is the most feasible reaction. Which one is the most feasible reaction? Here aluminum oxide is reduced by using magnesium. It converts into magnesium oxide and aluminum. So the reverse process, magnesium oxide is reduced by using aluminum. So here which one is the most feasible reaction? So we have to go for trick. So the metal oxide which is present above portion of the Ellingham diagram. So here the metal oxide which is present above portion of the Ellingham diagram can be reduced by the metal which is present below portion. Okay, clear? So here below this particular temperature 1350 Kelvin, here the conjunction of these two curves, this point, at this point the temperature is 1350 Kelvin. So below this temperature aluminum oxide is present above the portion of the curve. So here the aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium, but not magnesium oxide reduced by aluminum. So that's why aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium. So this will be most feasible reaction. But magnesium oxide cannot be reduced by aluminum. Okay, clear? So the metal oxide which is present above the portion of the Ellingham diagram can be reduced by the metal which is present below portion of the Ellingham diagram. And we should select the lowest temperature. Okay, clear? So by using this trick, you can predict whatever may be the given metal and metal oxide. You can select the best reducing process. Okay, so let us have a look on the entire portion of the Ellingham diagram. So here this is the entire portion of Ellingham diagram. So here there is so many oxidizing processes are there. So suppose if you take magnesium oxide, aluminum oxide, zinc oxide, carbon dioxide, iron oxide and copper oxide. So all these are the formation of their oxides. So here copper oxide is present above the portion of the Ellingham diagram. So this metal oxide, copper oxide, can be reduced by here iron. this copper oxide can be reduced by iron, but iron oxide cannot be reduced by copper. Okay, clear? Suppose if you take a relation between zinc oxide and copper oxide. So copper oxide is present above the portion of the Ellingham diagram, and zinc oxide and zinc present below the portion of the Ellingham diagram. So the copper oxide can be reduced by zinc, whereas zinc oxide cannot be reduced by copper. Clear? Suppose if you take this one, the aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium, whereas magnesium oxide cannot be reduced by aluminum. So here this takes place only below this particular temperature. So in the previous chart we have discussed that is 1350 Kelvin. So below this 1350 Kelvin, the aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium. Suppose if you take above this temperature, so above this temperature, here the curve is magnesium oxide curve, this is aluminum oxide curve. So above this particular temperature, magnesium oxide can be reduced by aluminum, but this is not commercially beneficial process as we are using very high temperature. Okay, clear? Above this temperature, the magnesium oxide can be reduced by aluminum, but this is not commercially beneficial process because we are using very high temperature. So in this way we can select a best reducing agent by using this Ellingham diagram. Thank you. Like this session, share the session and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.